Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Sacral Steve channel. My name is Stephen Warner. I help gay men heal their relationships to their sexuality and their emotions so they can dive into a deeper life of satisfaction, fulfillment, and pleasure. I guide them through this work through the foundational principles of energy work like Reiki, co-regulation, and building internal safety. These are all the tools that I use to radically transform my own life, and this channel is all about sharing my journey with you as I deepen into this medicine for myself. My goal is to pull back the curtain and show you the process of what this healing really looks like. I'm here to show you the pain, the pleasure, the beauty, and the messiness of it all. If you are ready to dive into this work for yourself, I have a group program coming up in January, and it's going to be all about the foundational principles required to catalyze this healing for yourself. It's called Reiki Level 1, Principles of Practical Energy Work. The priority waitlist is now open, so if you're interested and you want more information, pop your name and email into the link in the description or the show notes, and you'll get an email sent to you with a video describing more about what this is going to be all about. But without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. I'm filming this intro. It's November 6th. I filmed the bulk of this about a week and a half ago in late October. I was moving through some major sorrow and sadness, and I recorded myself kind of moving through that. So this is a very vulnerable one. This is a very raw one. It's lots of me crying. It's real time. It's messy. It's like the messiness of it all. But like I said, I really want to like pull back the curtain and show what it really looks like to move through these denser emotions. The bulk of it is going to be like, I think it's like 17 minutes of me processing that sadness and sorrow and letting it out. It's a lot to do with my ex-husband and realizing that like I hurt him, and all the pain that came up with like really acknowledging and looking and accepting that component of what was required for me to choose myself. And then the outro, there's 4 or 5 more minutes of the next day and how I leaned onto some co-regulation to really like complete the cycle of moving all of this out of my system. So without further ado, dive in. As always, like, follow, subscribe, comment, send me messages. I really love getting messages from you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much. All right, good evening, everybody. It is Sunday, October 27th. That's when I'm filming this, and I am here to rant about my life and my feelings, and I think it's important to do so. And as I'm like, I don't know, as I'm gaining more followers and as I'm gaining like more people in my circle and more eyes on me and what I'm doing, I've noticed myself like shrink a little bit, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to fucking shrink. I don't want to make myself smaller because of anything. So I just want to encourage, I like talking. I like sharing my feelings. I like being vulnerable, and I think it's really important to do so. I think it's important for other men to see men be vulnerable and process their feelings and have a demonstration of what it looks like. And it also helps me to verbally process. And so I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to post it. So I'm talking about my husband today, and I started watching Ted Lasso, and I watched the first season. I just finished it, and the whole divorce thing and all of that, it brought up my ex-husband, and I have so many feelings about all of it. And lately, today, I've been feeling really badly about it all. I've been feeling really sad about it. I've been feeling like I really hurt him, and I'm feeling like today I wanted to reach out and like call him and just apologize, but I didn't know if that was fair to do so. So for some context, like before I haven't spoken with him since I moved to California. I spoke with him a couple times leading up to my move, and there's no bad blood between us. We've like gone separate ways, and when I did engage with him back, before I moved here, a lot of it was out of guilt. A lot of it was like, oh, I feel like I ought to show up for this person, and let me just like put on a little bit of a song and dance. And it just wasn't authentic. It was a little bit of people pleasing, and it was a little bit of like obligation. And so I'm glad that I haven't reached out to him and maintained contact and relationship from an inauthentic place of obligation. But something about today and the energy work containers that I'm in and the work I've been doing around grief and sorrow and sadness, and then watching Ted Lasso with like the divorces going on in that show and how Ted was so like good. It just got me thinking about how good Jesse was to me when like we split, and how much I care about him. And how complicated all of these feelings are, because I care about him and I want the best for him and I love him and I want him to be happy, and at the same time I don't want a relationship. I don't want an active connection point. I don't want to be involved in communicating with him, and it's not out of anger, it's not out of anything. It's just out of like an incongruency of what's aligned for me. But I feel so bad. Because there's a lot in the relationship, and there was a lot in like the beginning of it and the middle of it where it like I don't have a lot of fond memories, and I don't have things that I look back on where I was like, oh, that was so great. I have a lot of like poor memories. And I'm just feeling a lot of sorrow and sadness for the pain that I caused him. And I left him, you know what I'm saying? I left him, and I chose myself, and I chose what I wanted for myself and what I needed for myself and what was best for me. But in order to do that, I had to hurt somebody else in the process. And I think I feel really guilty. I think I feel really, really guilty. And I thought I got really close to reaching out to him, but I didn't, because I didn't think that was fair. Because the last we really spoke, and I can only assume where he's at with everything right now, and it's not my place to assume, but where we left things off, what the tone was that like I could come around at any time and he would be there for me. I could pick up the phone and he would answer. But I don't know, like I want to call him, and I want to tell him that I love him, and I want to tell him that I care about him, and I want to tell him that I hope he's happy, but I don't want to start connection from him. I don't want to like initiate a relationship. I just want to tell him those things. I want him to know, and I don't know if I'm not quite sure if that's a selfish thing, if that's like I want the platform to be heard apologizing and sending my love. Like, I don't know if that's like a validation that I'm seeking for, if that's something that I'm really looking to get, or if it's both. I don't know, but I'm erring on the side of caution, or I'm not like, I just don't think it's fair. I feel like I'd be like using him. I have so much gratitude for him, especially how like we transitioned. Because when I left him and when I announced that I was moving on and I'd be leaving, like he was so. I mean, obviously he was upset. Like obviously there were big feelings. Obviously there was rough patches, and obviously there was tension and all of the things, but I don't know. I just think like he handled all of the paperwork for the divorce. And all I had to do was sign. He took care of all of the logistic stuff, and he set up the court date, and he made all that so easy for me, and he didn't have to do that. And it's just so complicated. It's so complicated because like I think back to my last video when I was talking about, you know, how caged I felt in that relationship, and all of that was so true. All of that was so true. And I feel guilty and I feel terrible. Not terrible, but I feel really sad. And what the fuck, where is this coming from? Like out of the blue. It's not really out of the blue, it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of like grief. It sneaks up on you, and there's just such deep levels. There's so much to all of this. The latest Reiki activation that I did, I'm in 5-element Dragonfire Reiki, and there are 5 elements to Chinese medicine. There's water, fire, earth, metal, and air. And in Chinese medicine, there's the meridian system, and the meridian system is like energy highways in the body. So like the chakra systems is like the Indian Ayurvedic way of looking at the energy systems. In Chinese medicine, they have the meridians, and every meridian, there's 20 of them, falls into one of the 5 elements. All of the elements correspond to different emotions. So the 5-element Dragonfire Reiki system of healing, there's 5 iterations of it. There's one for each element. I just did the metal dragon activation, and that is with the metal meridians, and the metal meridians include the lung, and the corresponding emotions are sorrow and sadness. And it's no coincidence that after doing this activation, like these meridians gets cleared, it gets activated, and every time you learn and get an activation into the next system or like tier or iteration of Reiki, there's an activation that happens in your energy system. And so with the long metal meridians getting activated, sorrow and sadness is being cleared from my body. So it's like, no wonder this is coming up now, because just this past Monday was when I had that activation. I gotta say, I'm out here. Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing the things. Like, this is what it's about. This is what it's fucking about. And it's clearing the energy out of the body. This is all density that's trapped in my body and in my system, and feeling it to free it. It's not an easy thing. It doesn't feel good, but it's part of the process. This is what it fucking looks like to make space. The ascension journey, right? The spiritual journey, or the self-reclamation journey, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's a matter of deconditioning the body. It's clearing out all of the gunk that we haven't either had the resources to deal with, or that we've learned to be true when it's not really true. And I really hope this is like helpful to people. And it has to be. It is. It is. Sometimes I feel like I'm just like an emotional crybaby, like putting emotional shit on the internet. And like I said, with these new people in my life and these new people following me and this just like growing an audience, I don't know, I found myself editing who I am a little bit. And I do like, it's just, there's like voices in my head of like, I don't know, it's just inner critic talking, but I have to, there's something that's calling me to post this shit. There's something that's calling me to be vulnerable, to film it and to put it out there and to walk other people through my process and to show it and to demonstrate it. I'm trusting that. I'm leaning into that. I'm believing that like this is helpful. This is what people need. That this is of service. Despite like feeling like I'm going to be judged, or despite feeling like I'm going to be judged, like fuck it. Well, this is the fucking work. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. You pull back the curtain. Like, this is what it looks like to go through shit in your life and be affected by it, and it kind of like unconsciously rule your life, and then learn the tools and the techniques and the skills to clear that shit out, to start getting back in the driver's seat of your life deeper and deeper, and creating more and more of what you want in your life. So anyways, Jesse, if you're watching this, I love you so much. I really do. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. I wish I could take back any of the pain that I caused you, or that I continue to cause you. I hope I'm not still causing you pain at all. I hope that my current actions aren't anymore. All right, what's up, besties? I am officially regulated from everything that came up yesterday, and I have thoughts, I have feelings, I have more to fucking share about it. So, this morning, I woke up and I was still very dysregulated. There was a lot of energy that was activated. There was a lot of emotions that were still moving through me, and I've been bumping up against some deeper and deeper levels of pain in my body and shedding it. And what I'm finding is the bigger the energy, the more support I require. Like I grow and I grow and I grow and I build deeper levels of internal safety, which allows me to move through a lot of it on my own. But what I keep finding is like we are an interdependent species. We are built and we are designed to co-regulate. We are built to lean on other humans and lean on other forms of energetic support. I am going to shut the window really quick because I can hear people outside. So this morning I'm in 5-element Dragonfire Reiki, and there are 6 levels to that. There's 5, one for each meridian system, or one for each element. There's 5 elements in Chinese medicine, and then there's the 6th one, which is the master teacher, where you learn to teach it. I was in my 4th of 5th elemental meridian activation last Monday and this was for the metal dragon, and the metal dragon has to do, I talked about this in the last video, but it's the sorrow and the sadness. And this morning was a 2-week thing. So one Monday and the following Monday, 2 3-hour Zooms, and that's how this is kind of taught. So today was the second of those 2 Zooms, and I was on the fucking floor this morning. I was on the fucking floor crying and weeping. I was moving through so much fucking pain, and I almost didn't show up. I almost did the thing where I let the feelings, I almost isolated, because the sorrow and the sadness energies, it's very like intertwined with those depressive energies, and the depression energies are like the ones that make you want to isolate and give up, and the worthlessness and feeling like you can't do it and what's the point. And a lot of that was coming up. But thank the fucking Lord, this woman Jenna, who has been in this world, she's in a lot of these containers that I participate in, and she's been in this world with me for a little while now, so we've got a little bit of a rapport. She was on my podcast, she was on my YouTube video. If you haven't seen it, go check out Jenna. It was the Reiki Autism and Self-Discovery one. But her and I were in a Reiki share last week together, and we were partnered up. And so in a Reiki share, we share Reiki with each other. So I give Reiki to her, she gives Reiki to me, and it's this really powerful, potent group healing experience where we all, it's like super symbiotic, right? Like we give healing and we get healing, and it's fucking juicy. But we were paired up last week, and we always share insights, and then there was a little bit of a dialogue that happened outside of that specific Reiki share where we kept in touch, and thank the fucking Lord, the stars aligned, and she reached out to me this morning with an 8-minute voice note about how impactful my session for her was, and how what I shared with her was so impactful. And now I'm gonna get into the co-regulation bit of all of this, because I was literally on the kitchen floor, on my ass, crying this morning. Like, I was collapsed. I was collapsed by the amount of pain I was vacating from my body. And Jenna, this beautiful, wonderful healer, came with a voice note and started sharing with me, and I was able to co-regulate with that. I was hooked into her energy, and it gave me space. It gave me something to regulate with. It gave me something to connect to that stabilized my nervous system, because my nervous system was very dysregulated. And because of that, it was like a couple minutes before the live Zoom was starting for this week 2 of the Metal Element installation. And so I got in the group, I turned on my Zoom, and like it's all ladies. And I fucking love it. I fucking love my ladies in my life. But I was tearing up, and I was like holding it together, and I showed up vulnerable, and I showed up raw, and the two women, Erin, my Reiki master teacher, and Carrie, one of her co-teachers, were facilitating this Zoom, this activation, and the energy was so intense, not just for me, but for everybody. They took a minute to ground, and all of these fucking powerful women energy workers working together, came together, grounded the group energy, and just like fucking that, I had moved through it. Just like fucking that. Tapping into the co-regulation, tapping into other stable energy workers to ground, and I moved through it like fucking that. It was so powerful. And this really fucking speaks to the power of group energy work. This speaks to the power of co-regulation. Like, you can get all woo-woo with it, you can get super spiritual with it, or you can just break it down to like the fundamental functionings of the human nervous system. We are meant to co-regulate.